All right guys, what's up? We're gonna do a 100-hour motor service today on my Yamaha 150 four-stroke. I've got it paired with the Bay 20 from G3. I've had this boat for exactly a year actually. And so it's at its 100-hour service and we're gonna get that going. I'm gonna show you all some tips and tricks and how to do it yourself instead of spending $500 for the shop to do it. This is what you wanna do. So I'm gonna just do a quick run through of everything you'll need to do this. First of all, I just wanna say always, always, always use Yamaha genuine OEM parts. Don't cheap out and buy the parts that are 60% cheaper. They're not gonna last, you're just gonna have problems, and it's not smart. Just go with the Yamaha Lube oil. There's a shop next to me that has actually New Orleans Power Sports right there on Florida Street, Mandeville. Yamaha Lube oil change kit. I will not say that it's the cheapest, but it is very convenient. So this kit includes 5 quarts of 20W40 oil, an oil filter, and a drain gasket. I've got 2 of the gaskets for the gear oil, OEM Yamaha. This is not necessary, but I've never put fuel cleaner in my fuel tank before, so I picked some of that up. And that's just gonna help clean the injectors. And then the gear case oil, Yamaha Lube. All right, shop towels. This was like 10 bucks for what, 12 towels? Funnel, oil reservoir to drain the dirty oil. And that's it. So we're gonna get started and I'll show you how to do this. All right, so obviously, before you ever change oil in any motor, you wanna run the engine for a few minutes just to warm up the oil, get all the oil circulating. On my particular motor, mine's a 2019, I've got a quick connect for the hose. And by the way, if you wanna flush your motor after going in salt water, it's very quick. You just come home, pop this on. You don't even have to turn the engine on. Just turn the water on, let it flow for like 3 to 5 minutes, and that's it. And just one more quick thing I want to say. If you're very, very new at doing your own maintenance on your boats or even cars, I really suggest you get the owner's manual, the OEM owner's manual. I've got mine. Mine's the F150. And I mean, I don't need this, but I do like to reference, you know, go back through some of the stuff and just double check, make sure everything that I'm doing is, you know, to the book per se. So highly recommend you use the owner's manual, especially if you're very new at this. So some of the tools you're gonna need to do this job: the AC Delco torque wrench. You don't have to go fancy like this, but you know, it's nice to have. Some pliers and socket wrenches. All right, so first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take the cowling off. There should be 3 latches if you have a 150 four-stroke. And just carefully lift it straight up. Yeah, so first thing you wanna do is just do a visual inspection. Make sure there's nothing like corroded or nothing sticking out to you that needs to be inspected or repaired or cleaned first. My fuel pump has a tiny bit of corrosion on it, but very minor, easy to clean off. That's something to keep an eye on, especially if you're using your motor out in the salt water. This motor was very well kept, so before I had it, and I mean, I've taken good care of it too. These motors, these Yamahas, they will last you a long time, no doubt. So we can continue with the oil change. Here on the right side, on the starboard side of the motor, there's a dipstick right here. You want to see where it's at. It's at, so there's 2 dots on the end of the dipstick, the 2 holes. Like, you want the oil to be about halfway up. It can be 3/4. Mine's at half, so that's good. Just wipe it clean, put it back in, and now we're ready to loosen the filler cap and drain the oil. All right, so on my motor, the engine oil drain bolt is down here inside this rubber tube. So we're just gonna pop that loose. And then what you wanna do is loosen it and hold your tub right under it. And be sure not to lose the little O-ring. It's pretty black. I don't see any metal particulate, so that's good. So yeah, this 100-hour service, you really want to do it just every 100 hours or once a year. Keep your motor running optimally. It'll last for a long time if you keep up with this type of maintenance. And remember, the last thing you want to do is let your motor sit for months, a year. You don't want to do that. Even if you don't have time to use the boat, at least hook up to water and start it. Run it for 10 minutes. Make sure you treat your fuel if you leave fuel in it over the winter. Because if you don't do that, come spring and summer when you go to use it for the first time, you might run into some issues. All right, so I'm gonna set this down and quickly grab a rag. One thing I forgot to mention, before you change that oil filter, be sure to put your oil plug back in. If you can get it in focus. Do not lose this O-ring right here. Don't lose that. All right, so we got the drain bolt tightened back up to 19.9 foot-pounds of torque. Now we're going to change the oil filter. So when changing the oil filter, the first thing you want to do is make sure you put a good bit of rags underneath it, just to catch any oil that may spill down there as you're loosening it up. So when taking off the oil filter, you want to turn it counterclockwise, just like anything, lefty-loosey. So there you go. So now we want to go ahead and grab our brand new OEM Yamaha filter. This one comes with a label, so I'm going to write on here when I serviced it. Now remember, you always want to put a little bit of oil on that O-ring right there just to give it a good seal. So I've got some oil right here on the top where the oil comes into the filter, and I'm just going to apply a little bit on here. Not too much, just a thin film. And screw that on. Be sure not to cross thread it. And you just want to hand tighten it. Okay, now that we have the new oil filter tightened down, the drain plug with the new gasket tightened up to 20 pounds, now we can add the new oil. Like I said in the beginning of the video, always using Yamalube for my Yamaha motor. This particular motor takes 4.76 quarts, so I've got 5 quarts here. There'll be a little bit of extra, but let's get started. All right, so the filler cap's up here at the top, and so we're just gonna use the funnel pro tip, you can save these bottles, and next season when you go to change your oil, you can put the bad oil in the bottles and then bring it to any Autoport store, AutoZone, Napa, anywhere, and you can recycle it.